Hi there, it's Stephanie with Project Vibrancy, and I'm here today to talk about something that I just posted on my blog, which is FreshTart.com. I called it Stocking Up on Paleo Essentials. I printed it out, so I'm going to kind of talk off of this today, and I did it because I had a couple of people ask me to create a list given COVID-19 coronavirus and the possibility that we may be spending more time in our homes over the next few weeks, to come up with a list of healthy food items. I kept it kind of in the paleo template, to stock up on and to have on hand in case any of us are going to be mostly home for an extended period of time. And so it was great. I've already been thinking about it. I've already been working on it myself. And so I decided to just put it together into a quick blog post. I'll continue to update it actually and I'll make a note whenever I do as I think of other things, because I did it pretty quickly this morning. But my overarching goal with it was to provide a list of ideas for you to have on hand if you were going to be home for a couple of weeks. And you were going to be working in the paradigm of nutritious and delicious. I've seen several lists out there that are certainly well-intentioned, but wouldn't work for me. Included a lot of beans, a lot of rice. I don't really eat a lot of either of those things because I don't do well with them. And they tend to not work very well for people who have autoimmune disease or who have other gut problems. And so those kind of are off the table, even though they're great, cheap, shelf-stable foods. I wanted to give you some other ideas and then tell you how to store them in case you needed to be focused on more nutrient-dense foods, or in case you wanted to be focused on more nutrient-dense foods. Let's be honest, the best offense is a good defense, and having our immune systems functioning as well as possible requires nutrients, and that requires nutritious foods. So for me, I'm not going to take this period of time and think, oh, I'm just going to let the wheels come off and it's going to be, snacks and booze for me. Just because I know I'll feel terrible, and it also kind of makes me depressed to do that too often. I mean, I love holidays and I love snacks and I love to drink wine and I love all of those things, but if I'm going to be home for 2 weeks, I couldn't take 2 weeks of that. That alone would probably make me feel unwell. So the way I kind of thought about it was, what are the foods that I would need if I did become sick? And so that's going to require cooking some things ahead, like soups and stews, and freezing meals basically that are done. I'm also suspect I'm going to be pretty busy during this period of time. So, like anybody, I want to have a quick meal some soup I can heat up for lunch, or some meatballs that I can make for a quick meal for dinner. So I kind of have that in mind, those meals. And then the other thing is just having a lot of healthy ingredients on hand so that I can cook, because if I'm going to be bored, then I want to have options for doing some cooking, maybe doing some baking. And those are sort of the two contingencies that I'm planning for: illness and busyness, kind of putting them in the same category, and then boredom. So I broke the list down into those categories. I started it off with things to avoid. And again, I've got this, delicious and nutritious mindset. I want to be healthy, and I want to be comforted. This is stressful time. It's even when you're being careful to read good information, which I am, the reality for people is stressful. And so I want to build some comfort into the foods that I'm making, but I want to also be taking really extra good care of myself. So I went into the list. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because you can find it on FreshTart.com. It's right now the first post there. If you're watching this later after I've posted again, it's titled Stocking Up on Paleo Essentials. And the first thing I did is talk about things just to buy. So this isn't things to prepare, this is things to buy. And then I talked about how to store them. So I went through really basic things like ground meat, and because you can make them into meatballs that you can freeze, or you can just freeze the ground meat. I'm doing both. Kind of roast cuts like pork shoulder or beef chuck roast to make a pot roast. I'll probably braise something and freeze it, and then I'll have a cut of meat that I freeze so that I can prepare it and I have something to cook. I'm a big fan of canned fish anyway, so I'll just pick up some extra. I already actually have picked up some extra, tuna, sardines, smoked oysters. They are great for quick salads. They're great for snacks. I like to have fish in my freezer, so you can buy fish from a place like Vital Choice, which is excellent salmon, excellent halibut, or you can buy it at the store. I actually buy frozen walleye at the local co-ops here in Minneapolis, and I love having that on hand. You don't want to refreeze fish that has been thawed, and so talk to your fishmonger and ask if most fish that is arriving in the Midwest, since we're not near an ocean, is arriving at our markets frozen and then is thawed. It just depends. So talk to the fishmonger and decide if it's something that's been thawed, then you don't want to freeze it again, and see what options that they have for a fish that is in the freezer. Shrimp, frozen wild shrimp is great too. I love frozen berries. I keep them on hand for smoothies. I like to even just take a cup of them and put them in the fridge and let them thaw. Frozen raspberries thawed, I actually prefer to fresh raspberries, particularly this time of year. And strawberries are great too, but having frozen fruit on hand to bake with or to put into yogurt or pancakes or smoothies is obviously great. Frozen greens like kale and spinach are awesome in sautés. They're also great in smoothies, and they last forever in the freezer. And then, frozen cauliflower, rice, things like that. The fresh vegetables that I focus on really in my day-to-day life, because it takes me a while to eat things, because for the most part I'm cooking for one person right now. Cabbage, Brussels, radishes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, romaine lettuce is pretty hardy, parsnips, turnips, celery root, like the root vegetables, the winter squashes, they last forever. And so if you're in the groove of buying a lot of greens that are very fragile, like spinach and arugula, it's fine to, obviously buy those, but know that they're not really going to last you more than a week. And so having the backup of some of those hardier fresh vegetables is a really good idea. They last forever. Kind of made the same point about some of the fruits like citrus and apples, which last really well. Freezing bananas because they're great for baking and smoothies. And then I made a list of baking ingredients in case people think they want to be doing some baking. I like to take the opportunity to bake with more nutritious ingredients, so I tend toward paleo baking, but I certainly understand the need for a good gluten-free cookie. And so whatever baking ingredients work well for you. I listed paleo baking ingredients, and then I made sure to stock up on things like collagen peptides. I use it for smoothies. I also use it when I'm cooking rice. I add it to soups and stews. It's part of healing green broth. You can put it in cookies. You can put it in bars. You can stir it into yogurt. It's a great protein source. It's not like you have to eat 5 scoops of it a day. I really shoot for 1 to 2, but it's just so versatile and such a great way to add protein. And it's great for your digestion, and then it's great for your skin, and it's just one of my faves. And then I made a list of, good healthy-ish snacks like dark chocolate, nuts and seeds. I made notes of the things that are not on the autoimmune protocol, dried fruit, and eggs, and I made a plug for kombucha over banking up on a bunch of wine, because alcohol is really hard on your immune system, and as tempting as it is to sort of be snuggled in and drinking wine and watching movies, to the best of your ability to avoid doing that is really much better for your immune system. And kombucha is great for your gut, and it also tastes amazing. I love that for cocktail hour. And then I have a category that I call make and freeze. And I'm going to do a quick kind of workshop demo over the weekend. I just have to put it together to talk about foods that freeze well and how to freeze them, because I've had so many questions about that. And I put a question in my Project Vibrancy Meals group asking if that would be helpful for people. It looks like it would be. And so I'm going to talk about the best way to make and freeze foods like meatballs and roasts and plantain tortillas, broth, soups, stews, eggs. All of these things can be simply made into really delicious items that freeze beautifully, and they're such a gift. I mean, even if you come out of this period of time with extra food in the freezer, I usually do this before I travel. Like, I like to come home and know that I had braised chicken and I had put it in the freezer, and so I have something to eat as soon as I get home. Or I had made soup, or I had banked some meatballs, I banked some plantain tortillas. So it's not food that's going to go to waste. You're going to be very happy that it's there no matter what. And then I had a category called Make and Refrigerate. So no surprise, I made a plug for condiments. This is a great time to make 2-3 really great condiments. They will last for a couple weeks in the refrigerator, and they can make things taste different and amazing. So you can really kind of mix things up and not get stuck in a rut. It's really a great idea to buy cabbage or buy kale. I kind of trade off every week and come home and chop it up and put it in a container and keep it in the fridge. I eat so much more of these cruciferous vegetables if I have them already chopped and ready to go, and I can throw a handful in salad. I can throw a handful into a hash, and they last for more than a week, basically. Even though they're chopped, they're really hearty and really nutritious. And then I made a plug for making like a paleo granola. There's a really nice granola recipe in my new cookbook, the 30-minute paleo meal cookbook, and I like to make something like that. And then I keep it in the fridge or the freezer, because if it has nuts in it, they tend to go rancid. And so if you want to keep something for a longer period of time, then just make sure it's in the fridge or freezer. And then I give the resources for recipes, including my blog, including my meal plans, including cookbooks, and I link out also in the list to several of these things. And so anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I had that there. I put one photograph in it so you can print it and you don't have to go through and, X out photos. You can just print this list off, let it inspire you as you are shopping, and hopefully, you'll have some inspiration to keep things on the healthier side. And then no matter what, you will be banking some really healthy and delicious food, no matter what happens. And that always feels good, no matter what's happening. So that's it. I'm going to stop there, but I'll be back with this freezing workshop time. I'm going to do some sort of a sign up for it. I just have to figure it out today and tomorrow, and I'll be back with that info. So let me know if you have questions, and if you have great ideas that I missed in the blog post, because I want to be updating it and just keep adding to it, because it's the kind of thing that I can just keep adding to. So, all right, you guys, thank you very much, and I will be back probably tomorrow or Saturday with this workshop idea. Okay, stay healthy. Take care. Bye.